Yeah, I got a membership.
You gotta come straight from working out.
I wear my dog pants or t-shirt. T-shirt.
Headband. Next, during committee meetings, and you're not involved in weights in there.
You get you a nice headband.
You ever
Isn't that
seen
TV beautiful?
Show Parks and Rec. You'd be like the one guy Parks and Rec doing lunges the whole time.
He tried
He put his toe in.
He tried to have, look at, see anything up on there. But he didn't have the right.
At 80 inch.
25.
75 is the box right there. 75.
Oh, I thought you know what the number on the screen was.
I wonder if I can, let's see if I can.
Beautiful.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, so I think I might be able to show everybody too. Just,
Wow.
it disappeared. I don't know what happened.
What, you on the go-to?
Yeah, I have time to too.
How come I only got one? How come I'm only getting me? Oh, no camera.
I mean, it's just video, but
That's a pretty big screen.
There we go. Honey.
Yeah,
Oh, there it is.
I think they said 75 inches.
yeah, 75.
I think that's the size Paul's got. His living room there.
Really nice quality
I got like
on TV.
130 foot. Dude, it's so stupid, dude. It's the projector. A commercial projector though. That's nice foot. That's what I was thinking. That's what I put. Yeah, I put that on the side of the buildings for M&M when they opened and everything.
Oh, and $70 gonna be a screen there. It's gonna be a little huge screen there. Oh, I know what I want to do. Do you have keys, this drawer or that drawer? I
Is
didn't-
it a different key than this?
Yeah,
I have nothing.
that's why, yeah, because I tried, and
I don't know.
I don't either, because of whatever, they want to drill through here, and nobody has the key. We don't want it.
Don't you have a wedding coming up?
It's canceled.
Well, that sucks.
Well,
Delayed?
they're still gonna do the exchanging of rings, just at his parents' house, but it was moved to January. They, postponed it, and there were 3 dates left in 2012
Damn.
for them to get through, so January 23rd. I'll be going to Mexico.
Good time to go.
The average temperature is 7.
Yeah.
They said it's the best time to go.
It's already 110 out there, so I'm perfect. It's
97 today. That's you know. Remember Kyle Janiga?
She was trying to get,
That's 97.
that he's that's like 15 minutes from my brother.
Yeah.
but that was already gone.
You bought a
I
house
did a couple of weddings.
Florida now too. Tampa. You did like Airbnb, but
So I'll be gone.
last 2 months
Sean
closed the door.
and Third,
Talking
I know it's
about
gonna be
that.
legislative, so she's gonna run that meeting.
Who's gonna win?
Shauna Angela. She's Lisa's secretary. Miss Miller.
All right, it's 6 o'clock.
Are we on Facebook? Are we on the YouTube?
Okay, is everybody on computer land?
I thought so. I just need you to double check.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm on.
I'll check it. I want to check
Okay,
it. 5
do we
minutes.
have everybody on the screen? Ask if that can hear us. Everybody hear me?
Yes.
That's 4. Okay, before we get started, I wanted to go over some ground rules that, they're basically from Robert's
Can you
Rules.
guys mute? Sorry, can you guys mute yours? Will you please mute him? Will you guys please mute him? And then when you want to speak, raise your hand. There, it went away again. So, there you go. Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to go over some ground rules with the Roberts rules. That's where our meetings are based on. Some of the ground rules that we need to go over here. First of all, these are public discussions. These are not debates, okay? The purpose is not to win an argument when you're making a statement, but to hear the many points of view and explore options and solutions of the other people. We want one person speaking at a time. Everybody should pay attention to the person speaking. And do your best to understand the pros and cons of everybody's options and objectives. Okay. No member may speak until he is recognized by the chair or the committee person. When you want to speak, the proper way is to raise your hand. We've kind of been lax on that lately, but you know, when I first got here, everybody did it, and we kind of got lost in the shuffle, but we're going to go back to that. You want to speak, you raise your hand. And you can speak twice on a subject, but you have to let everybody have a turn before you speak on that subject again. Okay. And all the remarks are addressed to the chair. And there's no cross debating permitted, and you cannot speak against the motion that you're raising. You can vote against it, but you cannot speak against that motion. What you need to do, vice chairperson, bring that subject up.
Carla had her hand raised.
Okay.
Go ahead, Carla.
Thank you. I just had I'm just curious, is that part of Robert's rule that you may only speak twice on?
No, that's, you can speak on a subject, but you have to let everybody else go through before you speak another time. And then if you speak a second time and other people are speaking, you have to let all them speak, and if you want to say something again.
I understand.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily that you can only speak 2 times.
No. You just, and your remarks are, it says in Robert's rules, are limited to 3 minutes. And,
That's what I thought.
you know, personally, if you can't say something in 3 minutes, you're talking too much, so. All right, and,
Clarify that.
okay. I got a couple other little things here, you know, speak without blame or judgment. Seek common ground and understanding. You know, if you disagree with something, don't do it with being disrespectful. And speak your piece without being judgmental. And critique, this is probably the most important thing here. Critique ideas, not the people. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about kind of the rules? Just a refresher course, that's all it was. I think we needed it. If not, we'll start with the committee meetings, and just like we have been saying, speak slow and into the microphone, especially these mics out here in our chambers. They're not the greatest, so get as close as you can to them. And if you, like I said, if you have a question, raise your hand, and the people in computer land, Renee will verify this, and you'll be recognized. Okay, we'll start with the committee meetings now. First up is Parks with Mr. Hyde.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bring to order City Properties Parks and Recreation. It is Tuesday, May 26th, 6:05 in council chambers. All members present, plus video and those noted. We have one request for legislation. It is a draft ordinance memorandum of understanding authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding between the City of Barberton, Healthcare Ministries Incorporated, and from the city of Barberton. I think one of those is supposed to say Norton on my sheet here. Yes, the last one should say Norton. This is in regard to the cemetery on the old Portage there that the Healthcare Ministries Incorporated want to take over, but there's kind of a snag with Barberton and Norton and who actually owns it, with the last kind of written deed being owned by Norton Township, not even city, Norton Township. Spoken with Director Miller over this, and it seems that the Healthcare Ministries is going to, if allowed, going to do all the due diligence that basically we should do, only they're going to be doing it in great detail and keep us updated. All right, do I have any questions on this?
They're gonna take care of finding out who's buried there, is that the gist of this?
From what I've read and from what Director Miller said, they're gonna be doing the scanning of the ground to make sure there's no more people interned in it, so that they don't disturb the rest there.
Because they thought they already removed them, correct?
Correct, but they're gonna do an even deeper scan to make sure that everything is legitimate and everything is not disturbed in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? This will be going to 3 readings, just in case. Sorry, Joyce said something.
I said, I'll make a motion that we call for this.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Great. And then I do have an email from Director McLean. The Parks Department received a $500 grant from the Ohio Parks and Recreation Association to be able to create magic boxes. They'll be distributed in 5 city parks: Tuscarora, Abilene Webb, Edgewood, Chrisman, and McCafferty, 1 day per week, Mondays during the summer. These magic boxes will consist of activities that can be done at home, including arts, crafts, science experiments, games, puzzles, and education materials. In addition, we'll be distributing 5-day supplies of lunches in conjunction with Children's Hunger Alliance in these 5 parks. The park has also obtained birdie bags to give out as well. And with that, does anybody have any other miscellaneous discussion for city parks?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
the rims and the basketball courts, when are they gonna be opened up to the public to be used, reinstalled?
I will email Director McLean tomorrow and see if there's a date on that. Right now, I'm not sure there is one.
Have they made any public parks, the rims attached, open to the public yet or not?
As I've seen, no. But again, we're probably waiting on the governor to give us some sort of order that we can start having gatherings in parks and use the playground equipment.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, hearing nothing, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion adjourned.
I'll make that motion.
All right, can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 6:10.
Okay, next up is safety and Mrs. DeBevick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to bring to order public welfare and safety. It's Tuesday, May 26th, 2020. Phone members in council chambers and the rest of us remote. All council members are present. We have several requests for legislation this evening. The first one is draft ordinance titled Mower Trade-in. Authorizing the chief of fire to trade in a lawnmower to GSA equipment for the sum of $1,500 to be credited towards the purchase of a new mower. Now, the letter that I received from Chief Kersley indicates that the current mower requires replacement due to safety concerns with its steering and general operation, which have resulted in several accidents and one injury to an employee. The Barbering Code has been purchased this mower used for $2,000 and is receiving a $1,500 trade-in value for a new mower. Does anybody have any questions about this? The chief is also asking for emergency wording, so that they can make the transaction so that they can cut grass. Anyone have any questions? Do I have a motion to call for this?
So
Motion made by Mr. Griffin.
And I'll second it.
Mr. Greer.
Yes.
Second by Mr. Greer. All in favor?
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Next draft ordinance is titled Enter into Contract with Tenable Protective Services, Inc., authorizing the Barberton Municipal Court to enter into contract with Tenable Protective Services, Inc. for a period of 1 year to provide unarmed uniformed security officers. So this, request came from Mr. Inkbody. And this is the same company that we use. Mayor, do you have any idea if the, price or the fees are the same this year, the contract?
it's my understanding that the pricing has held, so no increase.
Okay. And while we've been closed, have we had to pay those fees or were we not responsible?
I'm not sure, I haven't checked with, Mr. Icarati on that.
Okay. Would you like me to check or?
No, I can check.
Okay, I would appreciate it, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
Mr. Greer.
Mr. Greer?
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I can't
I'm on
do it
camera.
Right, I can't do.
Is it pretty typical, of the 1 year contract for this company?
I don't know, how long have we had them, Mayor? How long have we had it?
We've had this contract for a number of years. We've always done it on a 1 year term.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Hearing no other questions, do I have a motion to call for this piece of legislation?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Greer. Do I have a second by Mr. Griffin? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the next piece of legislation is a late legislation request. Do I have a motion to invoke Council Rule 702 to suspend Council Rule 302?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Griffin. Do I have a second?
And I'll second.
Second by Mr. Greer. All in favor?
Aye.
This draft ordinance is titled Appropriation Fire Department. It's appropriating $1,000 from the unappropriated items of the general fund to the fire department operating budget to be used for fire, rescue, and EMS supplies. And this will be referred to finance. However, I believe that the $1,000 was a grant from the same company that we are trading in our lawnmower with. Is that correct?
No.
Sorry, I'm looking through my papers here just to double check. So yes, so the fire department received a $1,000 donation from, no, this is from GBU, I'm sorry, I apologize. From GBU financial life to be used for fire rescue and EMS supplies. Does anybody have any questions about this piece of legislation? Do I have a motion to call for this?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made, Mr. Greer, second by Mr. Griffin. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, does anyone have any miscellaneous discussion for safety?
Mr. Jaber does.
Yes.
Mr. Reddick, downtown closure, how'd that go? Do you hear any, reviews from that, from the police officers or fire department, anybody from the first responders? Any problems or any situations over the weekend?
I didn't really receive, personally, I didn't receive feedback. I know I walked downtown several times. It looked as if, the Mexican restaurant had, a crowd, I believe it was Saturday in the evening in the street. Maybe Mr. Hyatt can add how they did on the street. I think that this is something that we need. I don't know, from a safety aspect, I don't know if there are any calls or anything, perhaps the mayor can add additional feedback for that. I didn't receive any emails where there were any problems. Mayor, do you have any input with that?
Yes, I received quite a bit of feedback. Most of the issues that happened were after the street was reopened. But so we're looking at everything for future closures. And talking to the businesses, there are some suggestions from some of the businesses. Some were happy, some were not. So we're looking into all that before making a determination on this weekend.
Okay.
Mr. Heidi has a question.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I'm trying to write and look at the same time. Yes, Mr.
That's okay. Speaking from my business and not from my seat, I did email the mayor on Thursday, and what we saw we have actually an extended sidewalk on Park Street. We requested that the barricades be removed because we were able to use high top tables against the building, which gave us insight on future plans for that area. So while being Memorial Day, the business didn't have a great deal of outdoor seating, it did give us a lot of ideas of what we could do as a business in the future. And that's from me speaking as the manager of the Green Diamond, not as councilman.
Thank you. Are there, Mayor, are there any plans to pursue, is this something that was done through the city or would the restaurants have to do it? To enable them to sell perhaps a margarita while they're having dinner on the street? What is because I think that would help tremendously. And I'm not suggesting a block party, or I'm suggesting a blocked off area for each restaurant where they enter outside through a small entrance and sit, dine, and exit through that same entrance. What is the process for that? Are we looking into that, or is that not something that falls on the city?
No, we're not looking into that. That's an application the city would make to the state. But then you have to throw in the cost of the expense of security and oversight, not just monitoring like we did this past weekend, but you have to have full-time security down there. So we're looking into that.
Okay, is the full-time security something that's required by the state?
I'm not exactly sure if it's a requirement. I believe it is, that there has to be some type of security because you do have roped off, blocked off areas and alcohol in a public setting that is not on the premises of the bar or restaurant that's providing it, so it's in a public right away. So I believe it's part of it, but I don't have that in front of me.
Mr. Hyde, do you have something to add?
Yes, on that one, as the mayor stated, that is a lengthy application process. Security is definitely a part of it, sanitation. I've been studying the ORC on they're called designated open refreshment areas for quite some time. It is very lengthy. It requires 30-day windows of sending to council, 2 public hearings. And if everybody saw the email I sent, I don't believe that it's something that should be feasible for this summer, but I think it's something we could look into for next year. And as much as everybody knows, I don't like to look at other cities and I want to be the torchbearer that other cities look to, I believe other cities are going to rush to do this, and then so we can see certain ones blow up in their faces, so to speak, and we could learn from their mistakes. I think we have plenty of time now to craft, to perfect, to basically make what we want to make it so it's a good thing and not basically a pub crawl all over again, which nobody wants, including our police force.
Well, I have one more question regarding the topic, and then I will be finished. My last question is, I was specifically thinking about Coffee Pot, just because they're open only during lunch, and Owls, and they're both kind of on that same end of the street. Has anyone reached out to them? Because they wouldn't be, and neither, well, I guess Owls sells alcohol, but Coffee Pot does not sell alcohol. Have we thought about extending the offer to them for the weekend in their area for Saturday and Sunday morning to, I'm not sure if they've even reopened yet, but I know that it's very small side, and I'm sure with social distancing, they would benefit from breakfast.
Yeah, I talked to Al's, and he did not want the street closed in front of this place. He's got the banquet hall there and was gonna make use of that. Possibly down the road, he'd be willing to look at closing the street, but he wanted to use the parking spots in front of his business for customers. Coffee Pot closes early afternoon, and I have not been able to get in touch with them, but we are, should be reaching out to them this week.
Okay, thank you, because I think that they would definitely be a business where they're very small inside and may benefit from some sort of, adjustment for them, at least on the weekends, in the morning. Okay. That's all I have.
Mr. Heide has something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If I may, I feel like I'm the only one speaking on any of this, so if I may there. Al's could also possibly use the city parking lot behind it as sort of an area for him. It does cross the alley, but that would be a possibility for him instead of losing his spots on 2nd Street. I know that it's not the best looking parking spot. In fact, he had mentioned to me he would be interested in purchasing it from the city if at all possible in the future so he can maintain it and whatnot. But as long as it's a city lot, it is possible that if he were into something, he'd be apt to using something out there.
Okay.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that, because other businesses make use of that parking lot as well. So,
Okay, does anybody else have anything for safety?
Mr. Jaber does.
Since we're on that subject with the parking lot, I did speak to Al's myself today. That parking lot, I think would be a great idea if we sell it to Al's. I don't know how we go in that process. I think he reached out to the mayor's office 5 years ago, tried to reach out to purchase that property. I mean, if you look at it now, the weeds are grown, it's in bad shape. It makes that area look very, very bad. Since the city's not taking good care of it, I think Al's, if he purchased it, he would do a great job in doing what he needs to do with it and making it look like a presentable parking lot for the other businesses to use. I talked to him earlier, he said he would have no problem other businesses using it still, but he would want to take care of it and be his own property where he could take care of the maintenance. And right now, there's no maintenance on it at all. The grass is overgrown, it's gravel, and it needs a lot of work. So he's willing to do that work. So I think from the city, I think you guys should look into selling it to Al's, and like he reached out to you guys 5 years ago. And also, the subject back about downtown. Mayor, have we decided about anything about food trucks going downtown? I spoke to 4 or 5 businesses today that are closed after 4:30, and they're willing to use the front of their business for tables or the food truck can park in front of them. Or like some kind of, they say they don't mind if they can use outside their business for anything after 4:30 on weekly usage. We decided on
we
that.
discussed that.
I'm sorry?
We discussed that the purpose of closing the streets is to help farming businesses downtown. And so we're gonna continue to look at that, bringing in food trucks from outside of Barberton, could take business away from downtown Barberton businesses, but it could also, competition's a good thing. So we're taking both sides and we're looking at that for the future, the summer. But we really want to help the small businesses downtown, initially.
All right. And just how long time period do you think you need to think about this and push forward this and see what you're gonna do with that? Is there a time period with
I'm
that?
getting feedback from all the businesses now. Some are in favor and some are not. So we got to be honest with the own businesses.
And can you send us emails about that feedback, or is that something you can share with the other businesses? I've talked to 4 of them, and they're willing to get that spaced up.
Okay, could you send me an email with that information?
Sure, and likewise too, can you send the information that you got?
Sure.
Yep, thank you.
I don't know if that really falls into safety, but if it does, can you include me in the email? I'm not certain that that necessarily falls into safety. But, does anyone else have any questions about this? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Griffin,
And I'll second that motion.
second by Mr. Greer. We are adjourned at 6:20. Thank you.
Okay, next up is streets with Mr. Greer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call to order street, sidewalk, and lighting. Today is May 26, 2020. It is 6:28 p.m. and we are in council chambers. And 2 of the committee members are virtual. That is Councilwoman Angeloff and Councilwoman Fry. All other council members are present and guests noted on the sheet. We have no request for legislation and miscellaneous discussion. I have 2 things actually. This past week, Grand Avenue was closed without notice. I had a couple calls from residents stating sudden closure and they didn't know. There was just no notice. Anyways, I reached out to Greg and Greg Tracy, the service director. He reached out to the contractor. There was a breakdown in communication where the contractor thought that the city of Barberton knew about the closure. And so the closure is on Grand Avenue on the north end of Barberton. It's, I believe it's heading northwest portion of it. And that's going to last for 21 days, approximately 21 days. And so I'll be working with Greg. I'm pretty sure that this is pretty standard protocol for contractors to notice or give notice to the city. But we're going to look at ways and maybe we can make that more prominent and see where this failed, and just so we can fix it and make it never happen again, make sure it never happens again. I do have one other topic I wanted to mention. With the COVID-19 and the short-staffed, I just want to put out to anybody listening, all council members and committee members, that we need to try to push the residents on using our reporting system online. We have less workers travel on the road. There's a lot of potholes that are going unnoticed, a lot of street repairs that need to be done that are going unnoticed. And we need to kind of push online ticketing system at the City of Barberton's website so we can fix a lot of these potholes. And that's all I have for miscellaneous discussion. Is there anything from the committee members? Mrs. Angeloff, Mrs. Fry, do you guys have anything for miscellaneous discussion?
No, I do not.
And I had my microphone.
Yeah,
Closed down, I said no, sorry.
that's fine. Is there any other miscellaneous discussion, council? Mr. Jaber?
Just want to say thank you to Mr. Tracy. He's doing an excellent job. Probably one of the best right now in this administration, what he's doing. He's following through with his words, and he's doing an excellent job. And, all emails, take care of problems. The biggest complaint I'm getting right now from residents, constituents, and business owners are the potholes. Second is the grass and weeds growing almost 2 feet long in some spots. And, between 10, 12 emails a day I'm getting, again, from potholes and his yards, and trying to tell him just be patient with us and trying to follow up on all we can do. But Mr. Tracy's on point. He's doing an excellent job. And I want to personally thank him again. And with that,
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Tracy is highly responsive on his emails and phone calls. Just to respond to the potholes and the high grass again, both of those can be reported online. So anybody that gets phone calls or want to be proactive and kind of just reach out and let everybody know that both these issues can be reported on. It kind of gives a hand. Typically, the city can see it and get it done, get it on schedules, but with us being shorthanded, we're going to need to enlist the help of residents and make sure that they can kind of reach out. And I can promise you that the ticket system works. It goes directly to the departments that they are submitted to, and I've had awesome luck, and all my constituents had awesome luck. So, when somebody, we're short-staffed, and we're running on, we don't know what our funds look like right now. So it's important that we let the city know. City can't fix it if they don't know about it. So, is there any other miscellaneous discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion made by Mrs. Fry
I will second that motion.
and seconded by Mrs. Angeloff. We are adjourned at 6:34.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Mr. Griffin with Rules, Marketing, and Development.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rules, Marketing, Development. I would like to call this meeting to order. The time is 6:35, May 26th. We are meeting remotely and via YouTube and conference call. All members are present and guests as noted. Tonight, we have no legislation request to call for, but we do have current legislation. We have ordinance number 46-2021, titled Proposed Charter Amendment Elimination of Primary Election, which we will be voting on tonight. And we also have ordinance number 47-2020, titled Proposed Charter Amendment Primary Election. And we have to, ordinance 4720 had emergency wording in it, and it should not have. So this will need to be amended in committee and also during voting. The reason is because it has been read twice this way. So I'll need a motion to remove the emergency wording from this.
I'll make that motion to remove the emergency language.
Thank you, Mr. Heidi. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mr. Daver. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have any miscellaneous discussion tonight for rules?
For legislation, or
What's that?
talking about the miscellaneous for this or miscellaneous for everything else? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Or anything that's concerning rules?
Yes. Rules, we decided what we're gonna do. Are we gonna follow Akron's path and with the city property, with the vacant lots? The rules, trying to change that where we can make the rules that we can sell properties or pass the properties on to the neighbors. Mayor?
I think we already have that in the Summit County Land Bank where you can purchase part of the, half the lot or something.
But instead of purchasing, is there a way we do what Atkins doing, follow their trade?
If I may.
Go ahead, right?
I believe that goes through planning and city properties. I don't think that goes through our committee here.
Can't make no rules where it's,
No.
I think that goes through the planning commission, and if I'm mistaken, Mr. Mayor, please let me know, but I do believe that goes through the planning department and the city properties.
Well, we have two programs. One was the Suffolk County Land Bank, that people can purchase properties from, and then the city has its own land bank. So we do have that program where we will sell properties that the city does not need or want. Try to split the property to adjoining neighbors so they have more yard space, or if it's buildable, we'll sell it as a buildable lot. So we have a lot of criteria associated with that. Most of the lots that are out there that we maintain are not city-owned. So we have no jurisdiction to sell those lots. We maintain them, we assess the property, and so those are for non-owned city-owned lots. The other ones that are city-owned, we're actively selling them. And so from time to time, property will come in front of the city council to sell via the land bank. And we're getting ready to offer a few more. So we have a program in place that's working pretty well, as long as everyone meets the criteria.
Mr. Heidi?
I haven't looked at the website for that, Mr. Mayor. Is the criteria or an application form online available?
Yes, I believe so. And then there's some background checks that we do on our side.
Thank you.
And, Mr. Heidi,
Yes, sir.
do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm on the Summit County Land Bank. We do have a side lot program where you can purchase them, and you can go to Summit County Land Bank website, and that'll give you a listing of different properties and stuff. So it's very, it's affordable, and it's available through the Summit County Land Bank. It's the Summit County owned.
Beautiful. Thank you, Chair.
Mrs. Babbitt?
Yes.
Yes, the mayor mentioned that, as far as the criteria, there's a background check. Exactly what are we checking for? If there's been trouble with police, if there,
We want to make sure that they have no outstanding property maintenance violations, that they are paid up on their property taxes. Doesn't make sense to sell someone additional property if they're behind on property taxes and have outstanding property violations. We used to have the rule that it had to be owner occupied. But we switched that because a lot of the homes that are next to adjacent vacant lots that we own are rental units. So we will sell to a landlord. So we have changed and been flexible with the rules, and that's all come through city council.
Do I have any more questions? Hearing none, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
We're adjourned at 6:40.
Okay, next up is Environmental Health and Social Services, Mr. Draper.
Thank you, President. Environmental Health and Social Services, meeting in council chambers, May 26, 2020. Time is 6:40. All members present, others are through the iPhone or through YouTube. We have no request for legislation, and I'm opening this up for discussion. Miscellaneous discussion. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chair. One of the questions, and Mr. Griffin tapped on this a couple weeks ago, during this COVID-19 pandemic, are we seeing a rise in drug use, decline in living conditions due to funds, lack of funds, loss of job? I know certain members get, and like an overdose report, drug usage report. Has that increased at all during this pandemic? Is there like a noticeably increase?
Believe it or not, it's decreased.
So,
The heroin and the meth and all that stuff has really decreased. The mayor sends out reports to us, and everything's showing good for us. I mean, good for the cities, but definitely down for 44203, definitely for Norton and us combined. And I talked to police officers too, and they're saying less problems on the streets from overdoses.
You guys have to.
You got kind of lean in.
Yeah, thank you, baby. Appreciate it. Yes, to really answer your question, epidemic seems like it's helping with the decreasing in drugs.
all right, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And thanks, Mr. Heidick, for the show on that. I appreciate it.
I got you.
You're always the one that always reach out for us to do that. Thank you. Hearing any more this night's discussion? All right, and motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And second,
I second it, John.
Mr. Griffin, and we're adjourned at 6:43. With that, I pass, sir.
Thank you. Next up is planning, annexation, and codes, Mrs. Angeloff.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is Tuesday, May 26, 2020. It is 6:43. This is the Planning, Annexation, and Codes Committee. All members are present, along with council members and guests that know them. Some are remotely and some are in person. Topics of discussion, we have no new legislation. Current legislation is ordinance 50, 2020, titled Formation of a Community Improvement Corporation. We had first reading April 27th, second reading May 11th, and today will be the third reading. If I may, I would like to clarify something. On April 27th, when this piece of legislation was first presented to me and my committee, I did have a copy of the Articles of Incorporation. I can open this up to committee members. They have anything to say? Does anybody on council have anything to say on this piece of ordinance?
Mr. Heidick,
Thank you. I too had the articles the first time. We were just lacking the code of regulations, which the mayor did get to us promptly.
Thank you. Hearing no other questions, we'll open it up for miscellaneous discussion. The new planning director, Mr. Trevor Hunt, will be starting on June 1st, 2020. Is there any other miscellaneous discussion? Mr. Heidick?
Thank you. I want to thank the mayor for the prompt email the next morning informing us of the commission's decision. I do appreciate that.
Any other discussion, miscellaneous?
Mr. Jaber?
Mr. Jaber?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. For the planning department, for the businesses I did talk to on Tusk this week, and also Green Diamond, is there any way we can push it and see if we can make it more communication from the planning department and these business owners? I talked to Block 7, M&M, Casa Ranchero, Ferris Corner, and Green Diamond. They all want the sidewalks for extension of their business where they can add on to liquor control to the patio. We can make it a patio for them. Is there a way you can communicate with all these businesses combined together so we can do it together for them? Where they can apply and follow the regulations and see what information they need instead of doing it one by one? Because all 5 businesses are very interested in doing this. Again, Block 7, M&M, Casa Ranchero, Ferris Corner, and Green Diamond, where they want to use the sidewalks for an extension of their patio. Can you communicate with them, that way they can get all the rules and regulations instead of one by one person doing it and hearing different things? Is there any way you and Stacy can find a way to communicate and call them up and maybe set up a meeting at Cave or set up a meeting somewhere at the YMCA?
Yeah, all businesses received a hand-delivered list of rules. They all received the same information on the same day. So all rules and regulations, and we asked for feedback. And asked them to continue to kind of communicate with us with that feedback moving forward. So
No, this is not about closure. This is about making a liquor. Mr. Bay will explain it more because he is part of the Green Diamond. Go ahead, Mr. Heidi.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Heidi.
Thank you. Again, this is going to be coming from the manager of the Green Diamond seat and not the council member seat there. I will be getting a hold of the planning department this week, because if there's one thing this dry run showed this weekend is it might be possible for me to fence in the side street of Park, which would, a permanent fence, allow me to have essentially a patio. My business has 10 feet from building to curb, and what I think Mr. Jaber is alluding to is if all the businesses down there could get some sort of, what I'm looking for is how much inches I need, what do I need to keep the right of way and still extend into the sidewalk. I believe that's what Mr. Jaber is asking about, so that we can have, so to speak, a patio, not huge obviously, but what we're needing to know is the actual distances, the actual rules and regulations to how far into the sidewalk we can extend and yet still be compliant with handicap access, wheelchairs, and the like.
Thank you, Mr. Heidi. I think it's a good plan, and I'm sure Mr. Hunt was more than be happy to sit down and meet with the merchants downtown and see what they can come up with a plan.
Thank you very much from the Green Diamond and from my member seat.
I also thank you for your time.
Any other miscellaneous discussion?
Mr. Jaber,
Back to the park. I'm sorry.
Please call them.
She called? Ma'am, back to the parking lot next to Al's Meat Market. I really recommend that we sell that property. It's been sitting there and just not taken care of very well from the city. I think Al's would do a better job than we, as a city, of taking care of that parking lot. Again, he reached out to you guys 5 years ago, and it's still the same parking lot. And I think we can find a way to sell him that property so he can take care of that and maintenance free for the city. That way it'd be on him. And if he would open it up, you can put that in there through some kind of paperwork or something. That way he'll take care of it and have it open certain hours if it needs to for other businesses to use. So maybe in consideration, you talk to Mr. Hunt about that too, please.
I don't know what the reason was 5 years ago and that the city didn't allow that to happen, but I'm sure Mr. Hunt would more than would like to be with Danny Sheridan to go over that with him. That's what his job will be.
All right, can you just give a message for me, please? Because you can have some notes for him. I appreciate that on those two topics for me. One is for the patios for those businesses, and also give a message also for the sale of that parking lot. Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments, concerns? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mrs. Copeland, seconded by
I'll second.
Mr. Greer. We are adjourned at 6:52.
Next up is city utilities and Mrs. Coburn.
Thank you, Mr. President. City utilities are meeting this evening, May 11th, both in council chambers and remotely. All members are present, along with other council people, both in the offices and at home. We have one late request for legislation in which we have to invoke Council Rule 702 to suspend Council Rule 302. Do I have a motion to do that?
I will make a motion to do that.
Was that? I didn't see who did that.
Carla.
I did.
Okay, Carol, you, okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is a draft ordinance to enter into contract with Burgess and Nickel, for Tyler Road, authorizing the mayor to enter into a professional engineering service contract with Burgess and Nickel for the Tyler Road Water Main Replacement Project in the amount of $39,800. This is a replacement that is going to set us up to get more funds towards bringing water this way. I had it moved and a very pretty letter that explained it all. It shows the help with that letter.
Well, the letter is,
There
you
it is.
want,
It really, that's all.
I don't have one.
It's, for us to be able to, fix this. The letter was authorized the draft ordinance so that we can, the Taylor Road water main replacement, from West Worcester Road to Eastern Road. This will put us in, a good position to apply for future funding opportunities. This is because they want to replace that water main. And it's so that it will be in a timely to keep the project moving. And the time, we're applying for it now to keep the project moving in timeliness. Yes, ma'am, Paula.
What exactly are we applying for?
We're replacing this water main so that when we need to do more, we'll be in a position to apply for other funding opportunities. We're not applying right now, but by having this replaced, we will be in a position to apply for other that come along.
I may be able to shed a little light. Actually, what we're doing is the design of that water line. And that puts us in a good position to apply for funds. You know, you're shovel ready at that point. You're in a good position to get funds from OPWC. And we've been very successful getting funds from them in recent years. And this project would fit very well with what they do. And with the number of breaks that we've had on Taylor Road in recent years, I think Mr. Tracy took a look at this. It was counting about 25 breaks in the last 10 years. And you take a drive down that street, you'll find that there's a lot of patches, and it's really in need of paving. But we wouldn't want to pave that street unless we replace that water line there. We could just damage it again. So it would be a good project. It's one, it's really a very necessary water line. What he was pointing out is it serves a number of side streets. It loops water lines that tie in from Wilson Way and AD and hopefully on down to Worcester Road West. So it serves quite a few Barber people on Taylor and on both sides of the street. So it's a pretty good project, but there's stimulus money is coming down the road. And if we don't, if we're not successful there, we could also get this from WC. So it puts us in good shape for that funding.
Mrs. Fry first.
Okay, did you get the email from Greg Tracy? He sent us an email today.
Yes, I saw that this
You
evening.
know, pointed out all the water breaks and what have you. And actually, that's one of my streets, and I've turned it in every year for the past 5 years since we've had, issue 8 money. But, as Mr. Tracy has pointed out, there are probably every house has had a water break. So it's really bad. And what I wanted to say was, well, we have Denny there, in contract, with Burgess and Nyepel, or somewhere in one of the letters, I saw that we might be partnering with Norton to do the part that is beyond our city limits, because ours cuts off way before, Eastern Road.
Well, the line does extend into Norton. If you look at the 1997 water sewer agreement with the city of Norton, we own that line all the way to Eastern Road. And it's because it's critical to have looped with the 12-inch line on Eastern to service, our customers in Barberton. But Norton has expressed interest in it. They know that it's an important water line too. It'll help serve other areas further to the west that would be in Norton, can be a benefit for that because of the looping. But, so if they participate in it, we can gain more points, and we can get a higher percentage grant on the project if they partner with us on that, and they have expressed it. So that would be a good thing. Whenever you have two communities going together partnering, the state likes that, and it does help with grant application.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to bring that out since you sent that email. Yeah.
Yes, this is for Mr. Weaver. Mr. Weaver, you indicated that there was what is possibly stimulus money coming. What I've noticed with, CDBG, with the additional money that we received through the CARES Act and things, very specific and difficult for our community to use. Do you feel like there's gonna be something related to the water when you're talking about stimulus? Everything seems.
I think it's very possible. I spoke with Jennifer Brown. She's with CT and really an expert on this. He was talking about 2 more rounds of money, 2 more batches of money. And they even talked about the possibility of low income being involved in, for water bills that couldn't be paid, to help make up some lost revenue. That was a possibility, as well as projects, possibility even on engineering on projects. So it's what I've been doing is researching to try to find money for our dam project and, to refurbish our dam. It was one of the things that came up through that. She was talking about CDBG funds, and there's another pot of money that is associated with it that we may be able to access. Not sure yet, but it's something that we're looking at. I probably brought that up prematurely, but there is a possibility. I just brought that up today to Mr. Tracy, and I wanted to further discuss it. So that was probably a little premature, but I think there is a possibility.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. I just wanted to, just have one more, note that I'm concerned about counting our chickens before they're hatched with stimulus money, because I don't know if the mayor can weigh in, but the CDBG money, COVID money, very, very specific. Correct me if I'm wrong, very specific to actual COVID.
No, I mean, it's not, that's, the additional money is related to COVID expenses, in low and moderate income areas, but, aside from that, as Mr. Weaver said, that there's no money through the COVID stimulus that he's talking about, there's other funding mechanisms over PwC that we can still, will be in line for, applying for. So there's more than one funding mechanism.
I may be extending my number of questions that I'm allowed, but, is there a reason that we had to invoke the rules for, we have a late request and we have to vote on it the first time? I mean, does it hurt if we go 3 readings? I guess I don't understand the urgency of it's a late request and it's a review.
If you, that's up to you if you want to go for 3 readings. It'll just delay the start of the design. I normally, if this is something that we just began to discuss as far as going for it this year, we want to make sure we can get in there. I know it's not going to be in July, when they originally, but we don't know when the deadline is. And, so I can't say just how much that will impact. They haven't given us a new deadline.
Okay, thank you.
Seems like we tend to run out of summer before we get the jobs started.
This isn't real.
So just to do engineering, is that what you're saying, Carl?
Yeah, it's for design, so it's not.
Okay.
No, we want the design so we be ready to apply for funds. But yeah, weather doesn't affect it. But
Okay.
the date of they'll set a date. Normally it's right around the beginning, first week of July. Well, that has been delayed due to COVID. We don't have a new date yet for that. I'm not sure when it's going to be set.
If we hadn't done this yet, we would want it this passed before recess.
I agree. It absolutely be passed before the recess. If we get through, correct?
If we go every 2 weeks, I see where if we were looking at it, if we were only meeting every 2 weeks, we would be pushing it. If we don't call for this tonight.
But believe it, when I spoke with Renee today, she said that we were gonna meet every week in July.
That's correct.
But you're still, it's still gonna be, you're gonna be legislative every 2 weeks. So that's not changing, it's, yeah, legislative is still every 2 weeks, that has not changed.
Correct.
I mean, even on our normal schedule.
We met on July 6th.
But yeah, but he was looking at it needing to be done by the 1st of July, when he requested.
I know that deadline has been extended.
No,
If you wish to go 3, I certainly wouldn't argue with that. You know, we can go ahead and hopefully we can get it done in time for the new deadline.
okay.
It's not solely my decision, I would just feel comfortable with, I mean, because it was late and, I mean, at least.
Harold, do you have an opinion?
I don't have a problem voting for it, and if we lived on Yellow Road, or if you heard how many complaints I've gotten over the years, this is a step that really needs to be taken. Take a ride.
Well, you guys
No,
won't, you guys won't be,
I guess I'm concerned because I don't know about all of you, but I've received a lot of negative feedback from constituents regarding, not being able to speak, in our meetings, and we're meeting every 2 weeks, and we're passing things here.
you guys won't be voting, you guys won't be voting on this. tonight.
Did you forward
I think the
some of
chickens.
those to me?
I've received phone calls, would you like me, I don't necessarily know that I have 2 emails and then phone calls, and I'm certain all of you have one of the emails.
I think somebody's confused you. You guys won't be voting on this tonight. This is just to
No.
call for it, so it would be the first reading in 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah,
Right.
so, because we changed it. Carol, Mrs. Fogg.
So therefore, voting on it for 2 weeks, if somebody has a problem with it, they can contact us.
Right. So, do I have a motion to call?
Mr. Heidick has a question.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Weaver, you still on the line there?
I am.
Okay. You noted that this would be beneficial west even into Norton there. This $49,800, is Norton kicking in any funds whatsoever since it's going into their city and they stand to benefit even greater to the west of us?
On the design, no, but for an OPWC application, they haven't passed legislation yet, but we've talked to them about their interest in it. If they participate with $50,000 with construction, we gain extra points, we get additional money in grants potentially. So that is the benefit that we can get with partnering with them. The line, when we did the water agreement back in 1997, we felt it was to our benefit to maintain ownership of that line 100% because of it's critical to Barberton customers to have that loop. You know, there's probably about 3 Norton customers that are on it, the vast majority of Barberton, and the loop is great.
Thank you.
Mr. Burris got a question.
Okay, Justin?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just want to clarify that this is design only. This is not the purchase of any material or jobs, correct?
Correct.
And just on the scope of services, on page 2 of the contract, it says at the bottom of D, so primary project, and then the sub point D. The very last sentence says this proposal does not include a boundary survey of any parcels or right-of-way. But above it, it does say that there is a survey performed from right-of-way to right-of-way. Is that pretty typical for design process to not survey the area it's going through?
Well, it is, but there will be surveys at the time of construction.
Right, but wouldn't that change the design?
It can shift, things can shift, but we actually have pretty good information in the area with property pins and monuments. I think we're pretty good shape for knowing where those lines are.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Do I have a motion to call for this?
I will make a motion.
Do I have a second? I will second it. All in favor? Aye. Do we have any other miscellaneous discussion for utilities? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I will second it.
Okay, we are adjourned at 7:11.
Okay, last but not least is Finance and Personnel and Mrs. Fry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight is Tuesday, May 26th, 2020. And we are beginning the meetings of Finance and Personnel Committee. Some of the members of council are in council chambers while others are at the meeting remotely. I think all members of council, all members of my committee are present either remotely or at the council chambers, and all members of council, as well as the mayor. And I can't really see who else is there, but yes, as noted, yes, that I'm there. First piece of legislation, or the first request for legislation that we have tonight is a draft ordinance titled COVID-19 CARES Act. And this is a request for the city of Arlington to receive its share of the funds from the County Coronavirus Relief Distribution Fund. This funding is vital to all communities that are struggling with the increased expenses and reductions in income tax revenues. I don't have all the information on this, but if their judge could weigh in and tell us how this works. I appreciate it.
Sure. You know, kind of as Danny was alluding with the stimulus money, anything coming from the feds or the state associated with COVID, there's still a lot of unknowns. So with money that has flowed from the feds to the county, there's still a lot of unknowns on how that money can be spent. I mean, specific black and white, yes or no. So spoke with the county today. They are continuing to have discussions with the state. But we have to pass this just so we're in line, because once we get definitive answers, the money's gonna move very quickly. So we need to get this passed. It's for COVID-related expenses, but that's very general. So we want to make sure that we're in line to get any reimbursements.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Judge. I would think that almost everything was related to COVID as far as, personnel and that type of thing, but, of course, after the county, squares all that up, we'll have more information on that, but it's all said, we have to get this down there so that, we can get moving on it. So, does anybody have any questions? This is the number.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Right, I was just wondering if, how much money the county received?
The county received, good.
I'm just gonna add, in what percentage approximately we are in line to possibly receive?
There is no percentage. And they're still, like I said, putting that criteria together. The county received over $94 million. They did take a little bit over $5 million of that money, and working with the city and all the cities in the county and the Greater Rapid Chamber are making a phase 2 for small business stimulus grant program. So that leaves the rest of the money, and they're getting clarification on exactly how that can be distributed and clarification on exactly what that can be distributed for.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any? Oh, Mr. Brewer? Mr. Brewer?
Thank you, Chair. I just have one question. Can this be used to reimburse the PPE that the police department had to order?
Yeah, so it can be used for reimbursement of COVID-related expenses. So PPEs that the first responders or the city received that were not donated, that's a yes. But, the entire county is not going to have $80-some million worth of, reimbursables of PPE. So there's going to be a lot more money left over. So.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Hyde does.
Mr. Heidick?
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, who at the, what offices at the county are the ones that decide the disbursement? Is it the county council? Is it the executive's office?
It's on the executive's office, but, it also includes the Sunny County Health Department and Emergency Management Agency. So the big question is, we can all agree on how it should be spent or how we feel it should be spent. But when the federal and state auditors come in next year, we don't want to have to pay any of that money back. So we want to make sure that we know exactly how that money can be spent.
Thank you. I was just curious who actually got to make the decisions for the disbursements. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, that would be the state.
All right, any more questions? All right, do I have, would someone like to make a motion to call for this piece of legislation?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Guerrero. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Second by Mrs. Angela. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, next piece of legislation is another late request. And we need to invoke Council Rule 702 and Council Rule 302. And it is in regard to an appropriation from the general fund to the city council operating budget. Do I have a motion to to invoke Council Rule 702 and Council Rule 302?
I will make that motion.
Ms. Angela?
I'll second it.
Second, Mrs. Babbitt. Thank you. All right, this piece of legislation is a draft.
You have to vote on that.
City council.
Carol,
You have to vote on that.
Carol.
What?
You guys didn't vote on it. You called for it, but didn't vote on it.
No, I did the rule. I didn't even. I know, that's what I'm getting to. I'm reading it right now. Oh, right on the rule, I'm sorry. Okay, all right. Who's in favor of invoking?
Aye.
I think
Aye.
Okay, I'm sorry for.
Oh, no, it was Craig that caught it.
Yeah, see, I have Alzheimer's. The draft ordinance is appropriation city council appropriate $10,000 from the unappropriated item of the general fund to the city council operating budget to use for the technology system. Does anybody have any comments or questions regarding this? Mrs. Bevick?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is this the $10,000 grant money from the foundation?
Yes.
Okay. Are we still slated to receive the other matching grant from the donor? I was under the impression that was $7,500.
It's up to $7,500, but, so it's still sitting there, but it's not we'll kind of get reimbursed for it.
Okay, so did the foundation give us 10,000?
I believe it was 10,000, yes.
Okay, and then another 7,500 for, from the area donor?
Yes, up to.
Okay, so are we not going to use any of their generous offer?
They're not gonna check until we tell them how much of it we need. So where the foundation sent us a check, and anything we don't use, we'll send back to them. Christian Healthcare Ministries will send us what we kind of ask them to send based on the shortfall.
Okay, are we thinking right now that 10,000 is all we need?
I don't have the report in front of me from IT.
Okay, I'm just wondering if we're appropriating 10,000, but if it's reimbursable, should we get the amount so we know what we need to appropriate?
Well, you still have, if you appropriate the full 10,000, and you only use 5,000, let's say, with another 5,000 from the other donor, then we'd be free and clear to send the other money back to the foundation.
So we have to send what, okay, I understand, I misunderstood
Yeah,
how.
whatever we don't spend, we have to send back.
Okay, I misunderstood, I thought they were giving us 7,500 and the, foundation was giving us 10,000. I was not aware that the grant that the foundation gave us was, contingent on, so basically, they're splitting it. The foundation and Christian Healthcare Ministries are splitting the cost. Is that what you're saying?
Up to a certain level. Yeah, anything that we don't spend on this, we have to give back, we can't keep.
Thank you.
Mr. Hyden.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank all of council for getting the grant request to the foundation done quickly, and I'd also like to thank the mayor for securing that matching grant. This was long overdue, and it's already reaping the benefits.
I don't see any other hands, so do I have a motion to call for this piece of legislation of appropriation?
And I'll second it.
Okay. Motion made by Amy Angela, seconded by Mrs. Levitt. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, another piece of legislation which we will be required to invoke Council Rule 702, suspend Council Rule 302. This is for a draft ordinance titled Appropriation Fire Department, and this was referred to us from safety for the lawnmower, which Mrs. Debevic went over earlier in the evening. Do I have a motion to invoke Council Rule 702 to suspend Council Rule 302?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll make a second.
Okay, thank you, Nina. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, and as I said a few minutes ago, this is a draft ordinance. It's an appropriation for the fire department, appropriating $1,000 from the unappropriated item of the general fund to the fire department operating budget to be used for fire rescue and EMS supplies. It's really for the lawnmower though, isn't it?
No, I want to clarify, this is during my meeting, I corrected myself because they both had 3-letter acronyms. The lawnmower place is PSA equipment, and the company that gave the fire department the grant to use for fire rescue and EMS supplies is GBU. So this is just, to be used for fire rescue and EMS supplies. This was a grant that was given to the fire department from GBU Financial Life.
In fact, the other one isn't even on here yet.
No, it's,
Mower.
so,
One that just, okay. All right, we already voted the rules. Do I have a motion to call for this appropriation?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second,
I will second.
Mrs. Angela, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, but this was referred from safety, that's what got me up.
Yes, and I screwed up at first.
Okay, we already have one piece of legislation that will be voted on tonight, and that is ordinance number 58, 2020. And it is an appropriation for the fire department appropriating $7,187.57 from the unappropriated item of the general fund to the fire department operating budget. This was called for at the May 11th, meeting, and we will be voting on it tonight. Does anyone have any, topics of miscellaneous, or miscellaneous discussion? Great. I beg your pardon?
This is Jeremy Fletcher, the finance director. I just want to give everyone an update. I did send a letter off to CCA regarding, canceling the contract with them. They did respond back. They did agree, or they did send acknowledgement that that agreement is terminated. Everything is sent off to Rita. I should be hearing something more back from Rita later on in this month. Their timeline is they're going to do the first extract of data from CCA in June. They will do another extract around October or so, and then one more extract after the first of the year, around the middle of January. And we should be good to go from January 1st with Rita. Also, Mr. Greer reached out to me after, well, I think it was after council meeting, the last council meeting, regarding EPA and asking about taxpayer assistance. With the state order basically still limiting gatherings to 10 people, CCA is still not back to full staff because I did talk to CCA over the past week. They're still not back to fully staffed. They're working on trying to get back to fully staffed. But I was telling Mr. Greer that I don't think they will be sending out anyone until the state probably lifts the gatherings of 10 or more people. So until that's lifted, I don't see CPA traveling. I mean, they're also subject to the city of Cleveland and what the city of Cleveland decides on traveling. So, but I did tell them taxpayers can file their taxes online through CPA website. If taxpayers need to, they can send in their forms, their tax forms. If they have just their W-2 or their 1099 or their various schedules for their federal taxes, they're able to mail those into CPA. CPA will prepare the taxes for us, and then send them, let them know that they've been filed successfully. Probably will mail copies back to the taxpayer. If taxpayers have any questions, CPA is in on Tuesday and Wednesday right now. Like they're working on trying to get back up to fully staffed, but I do know they're in Tuesday and Wednesday. Give CPA a call. And always, if the taxpayer has completed tax forms, they can always drop them off at the finance department drive-through window, and we can forward them on. If they need to make a payment on their taxes, they can make that at the drive-through window as well. We'll forward the payment on to CPA for the taxpayer. So I just wanted to give everyone an update on the tax situation, because I know July 15th is coming up quickly. I'm hoping to hear more from CPA in the coming week, so I can get information out to council and to the public regarding taxpayer assistance pay. But I just fear that with the governor's order or the state doctor's orders of limited gatherings to 10 people, I think it's just until that's lifted, they probably won't be sending out people for taxpayers at this time.
Thank you, Jeremy. That was very informative. I didn't know you were there.
Yeah, I've been listening in.
Okay. All right. I thought if there are no more questions or comments, do I have a motion to adjourn? Mrs. McGuinness? Thank you. And a second by Mrs. Klopp. Okay, and we are adjourned at 7:00.
Okay, we'll be taking a 5-minute break and then we'll go right into our legislative meeting.
No, we don't.
If we move these to a private residence, it's big enough to smoke cigars there. I'm just putting that up.
I just got a whole bunch of,
So we're going next week to the YMCA, 2 weeks, for
2
sure.
weeks.
2 weeks, not next week.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll probably start those 5:30 meetings in July.
That'd be awesome.
That's a good idea.
Because just know that we're still streaming, so.
Okay.
I know that's probably.
We'll probably start those in July, that way, because these are all already long enough. We don't need to make these longer.
Right.
Hey, Justin, you're in the planning committee. You guys do get on that. Working with the 5 businesses, and they're all on that patio.
Oh, the patio idea?
Yeah. They're on.
As long as the sidewalk or the ADA compliant with them, I don't see why they're not.
And if
That's
not, you're gonna
I'm
have.
advocating
That's
for it.
what we don't know is, and I'm gonna get to the planning department this week. See,
Just
I
communicate with everybody together, so everybody.
Yeah, they got it. I'm not part of that. Planning doesn't do that. The planning commission, or the planning director, but that's an awesome idea. That's what I've always been saying. Willoughby, hands down, awesome. Dude, the way they have it set up, you walk
Shaker
outside.
Heights just passed the
even
council last year for
if
liquor outside.
because there's indentations for like 3 spots here and
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Even if some of them were filled in, they'll give them plenty of.
Yeah.
I want to say it's 36 inches, but I'm not sure.
Well, I get with Hunt,
And I've got,
you know, I need to introduce myself anyway.
I've got 10 feet from my building to the curb. It's like, if I can't get a fence and be handicap compliant,
You can, I just, what do we gotta change to do it?
As long as they don't, that's it.
well, no matter what, I can always extend
As
the
long as
sidewalk
it's-
to those little spots, but I think with 10 feet, I should have.
Well, you can't extend the sidewalk, you can extend your thing, but you can't.
Well, no, I would lose.
No one
those
can
3
use a
spots.
wheelchair over curbs.
Right, because I would lose the 3 spots by extending.
Right, well, yeah, you would have to extend, you would put your stands out in the parking spots on the side.
Why would we extend the
It
sidewalk?
will be,
into the parking lot?
Willoughby did it, Shaker Heights just did it.
Willoughby, and they've always done it, they didn't need no special thing, you know, you go down there, their business extends to the front of the curb. And they, I mean, have to adhere to certain things, but there's tables outside on every business. I used to go to Airbnb Coffee House, grab your coffee and stuff, and I go outside and sit and work in a
You want to have it this week? They close the streets again?
Well, I don't know.
I think, I mean, the barrier's still down there. And
Yeah, if you were to extend those, lose those front spots, because we got parking on Worcester Road. Lose those spots on us, you wouldn't even need to close the streets because the businesses would go.
Right, and I never, yeah, that's what I thought, but then the only issue I see with that is that the people that would be sitting outside or using that would be so close to traffic.
That, well, it has to be a permanent fence.
Yeah.
You can't just,
That's what we gotta figure out.
you don't want to be like, the fence where people are getting falling off the pier.
Well, that completely ruined them for, until recently.
Old River Road, I remember partying there.
People
Carla,
fall off and float down river, never be seen
hey
again.
Carla, you don't have to worry about invoking that rule.
Okay, yeah, I know. That's what they're looking at.
No, that's an awesome idea. That's what I've been saying for a long
Thank
time, just in general. If we
The
have that,
feedback
if
is
we
so
have the
much better
space.
with us on you,
Oh, it's like night and day tonight.
you know.
And it helps, they can see them too. That's really helpful too.
I'm gonna send it to you right
Them
now.
on, being on it, so you guys
That's
can
how
see
Shaker
them.
Heights did it. They did it
Yeah.
fast too.
Can you hear them okay?
Sometimes not.
Maybe when they, well, they won't speak it as much now, but if they had to speak, maybe put your microphone on there.
You would have to kill yours.
It still goes in and out in there,
Uh-huh,
but overall, we start listening to the buzzing.
right.
I can hear everybody except Sean. I
Yes,
never
that's-
know what he's saying.
That's,
I can never
the
hear
application.
him either.
He talks low.
where's the,
I know our secretary budget.
4308182. It's got the checklist.
Yeah.
Like, you have to
I don't know, but
provide,
maybe because they're.
this is just
further
the,
into the-
Yeah.
this is just the
Probably.
That's a directional line.
ordinance.
That's why they're always like-
Like, it would be like 5 pages long. We would
Right.
get,
It could be
You
done.
see,
oh yeah, but like you said in there.
I don't think he has a
No
computer
lessons
tonight.
ready. You don't know when
He
it's-
doesn't have his laptop.
And then it's gotta be, 2 public hearings after that. That's why I said it's.
You guys ready?
But until then, we should definitely.
What you looking at?
No pleasure.
Patio should be done right now.
Oh,
That's why we just gotta get the numbers.
Numbers in the back.
well, at least you know to do it.
All we got to do is.
I have an application.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. And if we don't do it, we don't have enough room to get it. All right.
Okay, is everybody ready? Okay, kinda?
I am now.
Okay. This is a regular legislative meeting of the Barberton City Council. Today is Tuesday, May 26, 2020. It is 7:38 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then the invocation by myself. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
To the United
States of America.
And to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with justice for all.
Okay.
That was a Lou Gehrig speech there.
Yeah, really.
Player on it.
Dear Heavenly Father, we are gathered here today to ask for your blessings as we discuss the concerns of our city in these difficult times. We continue to pray for guidance through unity and for wisdom in leading our community. Please safeguard our medical community and those essential workers who are putting themselves at risk around the world. We ask that you work through us and strengthen our hearts and minds in making positive decisions as they come before us. Amen.
Amen.
I'll just stay sitting. That way you get closer to your mic. Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Mrs. Angela,
Here.
Mrs. Coburn, Mrs. Coburn,
Here.
Mrs. DeBevick, here, Mrs. Fry,
here,
Mr. Greer,
Here.
Mr. Griffin,
Here.
Mr. Heidi,
Here.
Mr. Jaber.
Here.
Approval of the minutes of the regular legislative meeting. Mrs. DeBevick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the approval of the minutes of the regular legislative meeting held on Monday, May 11th, 2020, as presented.
And Mr. Height.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will second the motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. It was moved by Mrs. DeBevick and seconded by Mr. Height to approve the minutes of the regular legislative meeting held on Monday, May 11th, 2020, as presented. Are there any remarks? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
aye,
Any opposed? The minutes are adopted. Petitions and claims.
There are none.
Matters requested.
They've been passed out.
Citizens addressing council.
I received nothing.
First reading of ordinances and resolutions.
Ordinance number 58, 2020, presented by Mrs. Fry, titled Appropriation Fire Department. An ordinance appropriating $7,185.57 from the unappropriated items of the general fund to the fire department operating budget and declared an emergency.
Motion to suspend, Mrs. Fry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Charter be suspended.
And Mrs. DeVette.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to second Mrs. Fry's motion on suspension.
A motion was made by Mrs. Fry and seconded by Mrs. DeVette to suspend the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on suspension.
Mrs. Angela,
Yes.
Mr. Jaber,
Yes.
Mr. Greer,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mrs. Coburn,
Yes.
Mrs. Fry,
Yes.
Mrs. DeBevick,
Yes.
Mr. Heide.
Yes.
Motion to adopt. Mrs. Fry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of ordinance number 58-2020.
And Mrs. DeVette.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to second Mrs. Fry's motion on adoption.
Thank you. Motion was made by Mrs. Fry and seconded by Mrs. DeVette to adopt ordinance number 58, 2020. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on adoption.
Mr. Heide,
Yes.
Mrs. DeBevick,
Yes.
Mrs. Fry,
Yes.
Mrs. Coburn,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mr. Greer,
Yes.
Mr. Jaber,
Yes.
Mrs. Angela.
Yes.
And the first readings.
Second reading of ordinances and resolutions.
There are none.
Third reading of ordinances and resolutions.
Ordinance number 46, 2020, presented by Mr. Griffin, titled Proposed Charter Amendment, Elimination of Primary Election. An ordinance authorizing and directing the Summit County Board of Elections to submit a proposed charter amendment to the electors of the city of Arlington to abolish the primary election held on the 8th Tuesday prior to such general municipal election, to reduce the cost of elections for the Barberton taxpayers, be voted upon at the November 3rd, 2020 general election.
Motion to adopt. Mr. Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we adopt ordinance number 46-2020 as presented.
And Mr. Heidick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll second that motion on adoption.
Thank you. A motion was made by Mr. Griffin, second by Mr. Heidick to adopt ordinance number 46, 2020. Are there any remarks? Mr. Heidick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do believe fully that both ordinances should be adopted because it would give the voters the chance to decide when their elections are. I think that only doing one would be a disservice to the citizens and rob them of that choice.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on adoption.
Mr. Griffin,
No.
Mrs. Angela,
No.
Mr. Heide,
Yes.
Mr. Jaber,
Yes.
Mrs. Fry,
No.
Mr. Greer,
Yes.
Mrs. Coburn,
No.
Mrs. DeBevick.
No.
Okay, so we have
5-3.
5-3, non-emergency, it passes.
Fails.
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 It failed.
No, it's non-emergency.
There were 5 no's.
5 no's, I am so sorry. I was
That's all
going the
right.
opposite way. You're right, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
no problem.
I went, yeah, I was going 5-3 then. Yeah, it fails, sorry. Okay, the following ordinance has been amended in the Rules Committee to read as follows. Ordinance number 47, 2020, presented by Mr. Griffin, titled Proposed Charter Amendment, Primary Election Date. An ordinance authorizing and directing the Summit County Board of Elections to submit a proposed charter amendment to the electors of the city of Arlington to establish a May primary election date for municipal elections in the city of Arlington in order to reduce the cost of the primary election for the Barberton taxpayers to be voted upon at the November 3rd, 2020 general election.
Motion to amend. Mr. Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we adopt the amended ordinance number 47-2020 as presented.
Just amending.
Okay, this is just amending only.
Just amended.
Okay. Mr. Hyde.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll second the amending.
Okay. Thank you. Motion was made by Mr. Griffin and second by Mr. Hyde to amend ordinance number 47, 2020. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance is amended. Motion to adopt, Mr. Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to adopt the amended ordinance number 47-2020.
Thank you, and Mr. Hyde.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will second the motion to adopt.
Thank you. Motion was made by Mr. Griffin and second by Mr. Hyde to adopt ordinance number 47, 2020 as amended. Are there any remarks? Mr. Hyde.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be voting yes for this out of principle, but I really think this council did a huge disservice to the voters by denying them having a choice of when they elect.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mrs. DeBevick.
Mrs. DeBevick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will also be voting yes on this ordinance this evening. I think it's really important that we not cause confusion for our voters, and I think putting two pieces of legislation regarding the same part of the charter on the ballot could cause some confusion for our voters. I believe this is a great option. Thank you.
Mrs. Angela.
Mrs. Angela.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I will be voting no on this piece of legislation. I believe it could create dissension among council members. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, motion to adopt, didn't I call that yet?
Yes.
Okay. Clerk, please call the roll on adoption.
Mrs. Coburn.
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes.
Mr. Jaber.
Yes.
Mrs. Angela.
No.
Mrs. DeBevick.
Yes.
Mr. Greer.
Yes.
Mr. Hyde.
Yes.
Mrs. Fry.
Yes.
Passes. Okay. Ordinance number 50, 2020, presented by Mrs. Angela, titled Formation of a Community Improvement Corporation. An ordinance authorizing the formation of a community improvement corporation for the city of Barberton and approving its articles of incorporation and declaring an emergency.
Motion to adopt, Mrs. Angela.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that ordinance number 50, 2020 be adopted as presented.
Thank you, and Mrs. Coburn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I second that motion on adoption.
Thank you. Motion was made by Mrs. Angeloff and second by Mrs. Coburn to adopt ordinance number 50, 2020. Are there any remarks? Mr. Hyde.
Thank you, Mr. President. While I do believe this could be a great tool, I will be voting no. With the current form and not the extra layers of transparency and accountability to the city, I just cannot bring myself to approve of this.
Okay. Mr. Greer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will be voting no as well tonight. I do believe that the CIC could be a good tool. I don't believe that it was put forth and has enough transparency for the residents. It also dilutes the funds affecting all departments and nonprofits we have here in the city of Barberton that basically do the same thing. And this will create competition between nonprofits for funding, an additional layer, and with the city on the hook as far as if we could give them that money. I just don't believe, and also that this was done in the time of the pandemic, and I think it could have been done a better time. So I will be voting no tonight.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. President?
Mr. McCabe.
Yes, I'll also be voting no. I believe the last 10 years, mostly 8 years, the administration we have right now has failed us. And I think with this, giving them more power and from the past experience, I feel they have not done the correct job. And giving this more power for the administration would cause more failure. And for that reason, I'll be voting no, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Carla?
Thank you, Mr. President. I will also be voting no on this ordinance this evening. I think, Mrs. Miller, for me, solidified, my thoughts that this is the time that council had the opportunity to offer input into what we would like to see, what we would like to see from this as far as, a toolbox. And, I think Mr. Heddick offered some phenomenal, suggestions. And we had some discussion about it and so were incorporated, and so for that reason, I will be voting no.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Anyone else, sir?
No answer.
Okay. Clerk, please call the roll on adoption.
Mr. Greer,
No.
Mrs. Fry,
Yes.
Mrs. Angela,
Yes.
Mr. Heidi,
No.
Mr. Jaber,
No.
Mrs. Demetic,
No.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Mrs. Coburn.
Yes.
Okay, so we have 4 to 4, emergency wording failed.
Okay.
End of third readings.
Okay, appointments.
I have none.
Miscellaneous and unfinished business.
I do not have anything.
Communications from the mayor.
Yes. Could you clarify if that last piece of legislation passed or not?
No, it did not.
You did not? Okay. You know, I received no feedback from council over this past 2 weeks after Mr. Heidi submitted his suggestions. You know, and the term, too much power kept coming up. And this is really helping, this would really help the city with some programs that are anticipated to come out of the state. It does not hurt competition. But the city's gonna be at great loss, and other communities around us are gonna continue to move forward because they have things like this, so. But anyway, besides that, I'll keep plugging along. But I will reiterate, if you have questions, or you have input or feedback, you've got to contact me, because coming into council 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, and trying to play this I got you game, isn't working, so it's a detriment to the city, so. A lot of things going on with COVID, a lot of things are going on operationally. We're filling the gaps. We've had, over 200 years of experience retire or resign over the last year. So we've been very busy with everything that's been going on, and I really applaud the HR department for all their efforts, and civil service and planning commission and everyone else for interviewing and going through those steps, taking steps at times to fill positions. So my hat goes off to them. Again, I received no comments or feedback from council over the last 2 weeks. So nothing there. The council members who have reached out to me, I've responded to them concerning their questions and issues. But we're going to continue to monitor our finances. We're going to continue to monitor the coronavirus, everything coming out of the federal government's area, and the state and the county. And we're going to continue to monitor everything that's going on, whether it's, flooding is still an issue, opiates, infrastructure. But it's imperative that you ask questions, because, coming in and saying, North should pay their fair share. Well, they're already paying higher month, all the users, and it's our line, those types of things. Those are great questions, but you have 2 weeks to ask these questions. So there's nothing wrong with asking questions. We want the questions, we want the feedback. So I'll just leave with that, and then we'll go from there. That's all I have.
Carla?
With all due respect, thank you, Mr. President. With all due respect, we was, our packet this week on Friday, Renee kind of over it. And so we did not have 2 weeks to, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the wrong ordinance. I apologize. About the Norton, water, that was something that we just mentioned. And, but we can vote on it. Because, I will be sure to include it in my question.
Anyone else? Mr. Haggett?
Thank you, Mr. President. As I said before the vote on ordinance 50/2020, I am not against the creation of a CIC. What I want is to see the bar raised and not the bare minimum that's required by the ORC. If the articles would come in front of us that increase transparency and increased accountability and basically put things in records, I would be very willing to entertain it. But as it stood in the current form, as I stated, that is why I voted no. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Gaylor?
Mr. President, thank you. The mayor said, "I got you game." He said the phrase, "I got you game." It's not "I got you game." Communication works both ways, sir. I mean, it doesn't hurt to pick up the phone and call your council members instead of just waiting for an email. I mean, as a head coach, you're supposed to reach out to the team players and see what they think, not always wait for the team players to call you. So it's not an "I got you" game like a 7th grade or 8th grade cheerleader would say. It's more just being a team effort and communication. So once in a while, just pick up the phone and call us and see what we think, and instead of waiting for an email. Sometimes we're waiting for you to tell us the right path to take or give us more advice. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, I have a couple things here. Starting on June 8th, in 2 weeks, we will be meeting at the Active Adult Center. And June 8th and June 15th, both meetings, we will meet every other week in June. And starting in July, we will have 4 meetings. And those meetings in July will be starting the committee meetings will be starting at 5:30. I'm going to the route where we have 6 committee meetings at 3 different times. And this would eliminate 2 of those. So there would only be one time period where there would be 2 committee meetings. And that is the health, and I believe it's the rules and marketing. So that way you can come in and you'll hit all the meetings except basically maybe 1 at the most. So, and that, go ahead.
So that means back July, we'll be back here in Chambers.
No, all the meetings will be at the Active Adult Center until the break, and then we'll wing it. We'll figure out if we can bring it back in here, and if we can't, we'll have them there. We can have the public involved. We don't have to.
So we won't run continuously like now?
What do you mean?
Like right now, we start them at 6 and run them back to back. We start at 5:30.
Okay, we'll start at 5:30 and run them back to back.
Okay, at the Active Adult Center.
Yeah, that's in June.
In June.
Right. In July, we're just going back to the regular schedule. Like we're starting at 5:30 instead of 6.
Okay.
You know, that way we can all go to these committee meetings and you'll be a lot more informed. And if you don't go, then it's up to you. Okay?
This is Rebecca's question.
Okay, Mrs. DeBevick?
Thank you, Mr. President. What happens, so I'm furloughed right now, but what happens if I go back to work? I work until 5:15.
Well, only thing I can tell you is get here as soon as you can.
We lose safety so that it's not second, is there, typically safety, I'm sure of safety and it's second on the agenda. Can we move it a little further in case I'm a few minutes late?
Okay, I'm not sure, I don't have it in front of me, but I'll look into that, and we've got, a month to figure that out. But I will look into that.
You're gonna start in June at 5:30, correct?
No, those are July meetings at 5:30.
Okay, thank you very much. I apologize, I didn't hear you say July.
That's all right. I mean, these double meetings are long enough, we don't want to add another half hour.
No, I know, it might cause a problem for me to be there there, and right at 5:30, so.
Okay, well, I'll figure that out. Like I said, we've got 5 weeks basically to figure that out, 4 weeks. But, like I said, this way we can all be more informed and, there will be no doubts. Anything else from anybody else?
Greg,
Yes,
what's the proper procedure for turning stuff in? I heard, Justin talking about, like potholes and stuff. Everybody keeps calling me, what should they do online? What's the procedure?
Online ticket system.
all right, just go ahead, Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Mr. President. I can elaborate a little bit more on that, Mr. Griffin. If somebody has an issue, say a pothole, high grass, or just in general a concern, if they go to cityofbarberton.com, there is a link right on the homepage about midway down that says report a concern.
Okay.
If they click on that, it's going to ask them to create an account if they don't have one already. And in that, there's going to be a list of things that someone can report. So like I said, there's a lot in there, but there is one in there for reporting potholes. There is one in there for reporting high grass, trash, any safety concerns, like that. So, and then that information, when it is submitted on the website, goes directly to the department head that is responsible for dispatching. And they will get it on the schedule.
I got a high grass while we were meeting tonight, so I have to tell them that. All right, thanks for the input.
Anyone else? Okay, with nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn? Mrs. DeBevick
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to make a motion that we adjourn.
and Mr. Hyde.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll second the motion to adjourn.
Thank you. It was moved by Mrs. DeBevick and second by Mr. Hyde that we adjourn. All those in,
Aye.
any opposed? We are adjourned at 8:04. All right, we'll have another 5-minute recess and we'll go into the committee of the whole meeting.
So, June,
I think you
Call
6 o'clock.
Dude, I was worried about it being too hot.
22nd.
Yeah. This bird, it's just whole, I'm all, that's my list.
And you won.
And then we'll.
So much sunscreen I've been wearing the past 2 days.
Right. We'll probably meet there
Yes, I'm an aloe.
because we're going to,
I'm not all of yet, but I'm almost going there.
we have committee meetings right now. Not the double.
Oh, I understand, but
Okay.
we're running them continuously.
Right.
We won't be moving rooms,
No, we'll just have them there.
but we're just starting at 5:30.
Right.
Just run it just like we're running tonight.
Right.
Okay.
Just to clarify, that starts at June 8th at 5:30.
No,
No, July isn't 5:30, because that's when we're going.
So
to the
June
meeting
8th is
again.
gonna be the first time we move there with our normal hours now.
June will be down there like we're doing.
Okay,
July will go back to every
Okay.
day on the new schedule.
right, yeah, we started at 5:30. So, we only have half the committee meetings, but we're starting at 5:30 because there are committee meetings at the same time.
Yeah, a lot of
only making,
So we're eliminating that. There are 3 committee meetings
good.
at the same time.
Oh, I
There's
get
six committees,
I got it.
and we're eliminating 4.
Are we going to do the committee of the whole and the legislative at 7:30 or immediately following finance?
I'm not sure. Probably.
I still think we should give the residents and citizens their option of vote.
Probably start right now. Council as a whole.
Like we do now, it's like 7:30, it's past 7:30.
Right.
That's
Oh,
what
I
we're
was
here
just,
for, not here for.
what, want to know
Alright.
how, my schedule when I started out,
That's what I said, that's
Right.
disappointing.
you know, the time.
Very, very disappointing.
Yeah, we can put immediately following, but she's waiting for going.
Being Democrat, you do vote,
I just wondered
Their
if like,
decision.
if it's 5:30,
It's gonna be about another about that.
we're doing our meetings in half, if they're continuous, we may start our
Right, that's all right.
thing at 6:30.
Well,
Because
well,
those votes over,
we
right?
might even be back to that, no.
The votes over,
We may be in different spots.
even though we're on live.
Yeah, it just depends how many rooms, yeah.
Right. That's just a start.
Okay, June 8th, at 6 o'clock at the Axel.
Hey, that brings it up. We need to talk about that.
But we're doing the same format.
For June, we're doing what we're doing here. July will start.
I'm not even playing this game.
I've been playing the whole thing one. You got drawn. Next week will be back later.
Right.
We'll just start a little earlier.
We guys don't want
Like I said, we don't know. We might be back.
We're gonna have to come up with ways to do it, protocols.
Let's, I already know.
Fine right now, there's just no communication. We are not working as a team right now at all.
Just all kinds of different experience. That's all.
So Ray, just what do you think about the food trucks? How you feel about that?
Well, I have mixed emotions. You know, I think it takes away business from the downtown ones, and they're the ones paying all the taxes. And
I mean, it wouldn't be every day. I think once a month.
well, once a month I can buy
Yeah,
that.
once a month to start them off. It's
Right.
great business to the bars too, and the restaurants too, you know?
Right. Well, I see where
We got a gold mine.
Ignite has them there.
Yeah, they had one over the weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
They have no kitchen. Right. So I can understand that.
Jim's Automotive.
You know,
We had
but
3 of them, but like, we can go on private property, put them anywhere we want.
Well, yeah, you still need to get a permit, but.
Yeah.
but there are restaurants in this town that are hurting.
Oh, everybody's heard.
You know, I mean, even before all this started, they were hurting.
I talked to your, new owner of your property, Todd, you sold to. I asked him if it'd be okay to put tables in front of the business since it's closed down right now. He said yes. You know, if somebody wants to put some kind of table to sell hats, sell jewelry, sell glasses, you know.
Basically like a marketplace.
Right.
And I also talked to, Al, the owner, you know, the property next to the PFW, he said, okay. Talked to Chris Sylvia, owns the flower shop, he said it'd be okay for the tables. I think just more to get people downtown, they'll go shopping, walk around, and say, you know what, I'm hungry, let's go down to M&M, let's get some wings, or let's go to Lot 7.
Even Joyce did wheel out.
Right.
Racking table. Was that VLT down there?
They put tables outside, get more foot traffic downtown.
But you did not talk to the Merchants Association that voted against planting their tables with people beside the people that sell stuff, did you?
I can barely hear you, you're mumbling, I'm sorry, what you say?
Well, that's a good point.
Downtown merchants that sell products voted against blocking on storefronts with jewelry sales and things like that, because it took away from our businesses.
Well, that's a good point, you know, and it would be good if you guys sat down and, you know, maybe do it every, you know, once a month or
Yeah, I'm not saying
something.
every day with those tables,
Right.
but something to bring other merchants in.
It might help the businesses that are there if they don't do it all the time. But that's something you need to sit down and talk about. And let the feedback be known. That's the way I look at it. All right, you guys ready to start the committee of the whole meetings? Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Get my notes. Okay, this is the committee of the whole meeting, Tuesday, May 26, 2020. I call this meeting to order at 8:11. First committee up is Mrs. Angeloff on Planning, Annexation, and Code.
Thank you, Mr. President. Planning, Annexation, and Codes members meeting at 6:41 on May 26th. We were here remotely and in person. All members of my committee were present along with all of the council members and staff as voted. We had no new legislation. We had current legislation at the third reading. today on, 50, ordinance number 50, 2020, that failed before. This is miscellaneous discussion. I had mentioned that the new planning director, Mr. Trevor Hunt, was going to start with the city on June 1st. Mr. Janner and Mr. Heidi was asking about, Mr. Heidi wanted a permanent, was asking the rules and regulations for a patio with a fence at the Green Diamond. He was asking that as not a council person, but as the general manager of Green Diamond. And Mr. Dever asked me to find out the rules and regulations for the parking lot at Alice Market on Second Street. Apparently, Debbie would like to buy that, and he asked, Mr. Sheridan asked about this piece of property 5 years ago. I have no idea why it was turned down, or what the reason was for that. So when Mr. Hunt comes back, or joins the city on June 1st, I will have a sit down with him and we can see what we can do to help the residents out. We adjourn at 6:52 p.m. and that's all.
Thank you very much. Next up is Mr. Greer with streets, sidewalks, and lighting.
Thank you, Mr. President. Street, sidewalk, and lighting met today, May 26, 2020, at 6:28 in the council chambers. All members were present and virtual. All other council members noted, as well as guests. We had no request for legislation tonight, and miscellaneous discussion included, I mentioned last week that Grand Avenue on the northern end of Barberton was closed without notice. Worked with Mr. Tracy, the service director, to get him in touch with the construction company, the contractor that was working on that, found out what went wrong and fixed that issue. So Grand Avenue will be closed for approximately 21 days. As this was a couple days ago, so about 21 more days-ish. And then I also mentioned that as council people, we should try to push the residents to use the online reporting system that's found at cityofbarberton.com. Just because of the lack of workers with the short staff, if the city don't know about it, we can't fix it. And it would be nice if we can just kind of push that and get the citizens to report some of the potholes that we miss or kind of go by the wayside. Councilman Jaber thanked Mr. Tracy, the service director, for being proactive and responsive regarding potholes and high grass reports that he had. And again, my response to Mr. Jaber was in the future as well to have the residents report issues at cityofbarberton.com. Which is an online form. And street, sidewalk, and lighting adjourned at 6:34 p.m. And with that, I pass.
Thank you very much. Next up is Mrs. Coburn with City Utilities.
Excuse me, can you guys mute yours, the ones that aren't speaking?
Thank you, Mr. President. City Utilities met this evening. All members were present. We had a late request for legislation in which we invoked Council Rule 702 to suspend Council Rule 302. Mr. Weaver explained to us that this was a draft ordinance to enter into contract with Burgess and Michael for Taylor Road professional engineering services for a water main replacement project. That by doing this, we would be shovel ready when funding became available. Looking at the possibility that some of the COVID funding that's coming down the road might pertain to it, and if it doesn't, there is funding available from other avenues. We have no miscellaneous discussion and with that, I pause.
Thank you very much. Next up is Mrs. DeBevick with Public Welfare and Safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Welfare met this evening, May 26th, with two of us virtual and Mr. Greer in council chambers. We have several requests for legislation. The first one is a draft ordinance titled Mower to Begin, authorizing the chief of fire to trade in a lawnmower to GSA equipment for the sum of $1,500 to be credited toward the purchase of a new mower. And as I indicated during the meeting, the chief said that the mower is unsafe that they currently have, and there was actually an injury from it. So we will be voting on that piece of legislation. The next piece of legislation was a draft ordinance titled Enter into Contract with Tenable Protective Services, Inc., and it's authorizing the Barberton Municipal Court to enter into contract with Tenable Protective Services, Inc. for a period of 1 year to provide unarmed uniformed security officers. I asked the mayor if the pricing has changed, and he said he believes it's held steady. And then I also asked if he would be willing, or I could do it as well, to check into whether or not we have, via our contract during this COVID, if we have had to pay Tenable Protective Services, even though we've been closed. And he said that he would report to us on that. The next piece of legislation was a late request in which we had to invoke Council Rule 702 to suspend Council Rule 302. This was a draft ordinance titled Appropriation Fire Department, appropriating $1,000 from the unappropriated item of the general fund to the fire department operating budget to be used toward fire, rescue, and EMS supplies. And that was referred to finance. That was result of a $1,000 grant that the fire department received. We had some miscellaneous discussion regarding the outdoor eating area that occurred over the past holiday weekend. The mayor indicated that we would be looking at, some were happy, some were not happy. They would be looking at the options and make a decision about weekends to come. We also discussed the application process that the city would make to give some of these restaurants the ability to allow their customers who are eating outdoors to have a beverage, an alcoholic beverage, and so we had some discussion about that. And with that, safety, public welfare and safety will pass.
Thank you very much. Rules Marketing Development, Mr. Griffin.
Be sure to turn your microphone on.
I think you muted everything.
I would help with it.
Oh, there we go.
President, Rules Marketing Development met tonight, May 26th. We met remotely and some in council chambers. Tonight, we have no request for legislation, but we did discuss miscellaneous current legislation, 46-2020 and 47-2020, which we already voted on. With that, I pass.
Thank you very much. Next up is Environmental Health and Social Services, Mr. Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Environmental Health and Social Services met council chambers 6:40, May 26, 2020. There was no request for legislation. Miscellaneous discussion. Mr. Greer asked about since the COVID-19 epidemic started, has the situation with drugs been less, for example, with heroin and meth, and the answer is yes. we've been getting emails weekly from the mayor, and it's showing a big drop since COVID-19 started. And talked to other police officers also who come through, and they said also been less arrests for heroin and other drugs in the city. So with that, during the 643, and that pass.
Thank you very much. City Properties, Parks and Recreation, Mr. Heide.
Thank you, Mr. President. City Properties, Parks and Recreation led off tonight, May 26, 2020 at 6 p.m. in council chambers. All members present, some virtual, with guests noted. We have one request for legislation that we'll be sending to the floor, a memorandum of understanding to authorize the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding between the City of Barberton, Healthcare Ministries Incorporated, and the City of Norton. This regarded the cemetery on the old Portage property that the Healthcare Ministries Incorporated is planning to do more scanning, more work to take over that property and make sure that nobody that is interned there is disturbed. That will go 3 readings and non-emergency. Miscellaneous discussion for the director. We had a $500 grant from Ohio Parks Recreation Association, which will include magic boxes in Tuscarora, Everly Webb, Chrisman, and Cafferty on Mondays that contain all sorts of activities for the kids to take home. 5-day lunches, same days and places, and birdie bags for the people. And we adjourned at 6:10. With that, I pass.
Thank you very much. Finance Personnel, Mrs. Fry.
Had to get my mic on. Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance and Personnel Committee met tonight, May 26, 2020, with part of council in council chambers and the others on video. All members of my committee were present, as well as all members of council. The meeting started at approximately 7:15. We had a few requests for legislation tonight. The first was a draft ordinance titled COVID-19 CARES Act, requesting the city of Barberton to receive its share of funds from the county coronavirus relief distribution fund. There were some questions asked and some discussion on this, and the mayor explained that the county has received approximately $94 million from the CARES Act. And it will be distributed, however, there are no percentages per city. The county, the executive office is in discussions with the state to find out what COVID-related expenses this can go towards. They did agree to take $5 million from the $94 million for a phase 2 stimulus program for small businesses. Let's see. Also, the health department is in on with the executive's office in taking care of these funds. Second piece of legislation that we had tonight was a late request. Therefore, we had to invoke Council Rule 702 to suspend Council Rule 302. This was a draft ordinance titled Appropriation City Council. This was appropriating $10,000 from the unappropriated item of the general fund to the city council operating budget to be used for the technology system. This money represents a $10,000 grant from the foundation. However, we will be giving back any money that is not used for the technology system. And we are also set to receive another donation from the Healthcare Ministries that is located in the old Portage Junior High School. They will give us up to $7,500. However, that too is based on need. So with those two grants with the grant and with the money that has been donated, we should be up and running soon with our technology. The third piece of legislation was also a late piece of legislation, and therefore we had to invoke Council Rule 702 to suspend Council Rule 302. This piece of legislation was a draft ordinance titled Appropriation Fire Department. This was for an appropriation in the amount of $1,000 from the unappropriated item of the general fund to the fire department operating budget to be used towards fire rescue and EMS supplies. This was referred to us from safety, and I believe that it was a donation from BEU Financial. The next piece of legislation was on the agenda tonight. It had already been presented and we voted on it. It was ordinance number 58/2020 titled Appropriation Fire Department. It was an appropriation in the amount of $7,185.57 from the unappropriated item of the general fund to the fire department operating budget. This was originally called for on May 11th, 2020. And we voted on it tonight and it did pass. In miscellaneous discussion, Mr. Flaker, gave us an update on what's going on with the CCA and Rita. And he did tell us that he canceled the agreement with CCA and he did hear from them and they have accepted our cancellation. We should be hearing from Rita soon. And they were going to be, extracting information from the city in the months of June, October, and January. And they should be up and running, ready to go by January 1st for collection of our taxes. Mr. Flaker also informed us that CCA will not be making any visits to help with taxes until things open up and they can travel down safely to help people with their taxes. However, residents can file their taxes online, or they can send in their tax form, or they can send in their W-2s and other tax information to CCA, and CCA will prepare their taxes. With that, Finance and Personnel passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mayor, do you need to talk again? Okay. Anything else from the body? Mr. Greer.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to mention, yesterday and today have been extremely hot. It's kind of one of the first, I always mention this, the first few hot days of the year. Just check on your neighbors. I know the power went out on the east side, and the next thing I know, my 90-year-old neighbor come outside patting herself down. But so, anyways, the first, it's not as hot as it's gonna get, but it is unexpectedly hot. So I just ask that you check on your neighbors and the elder when it gets hot like this. So.
Thank you. Mr. Heidi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank all the council. This has been one of the most respectful meetings I've ever seen. Nobody got testy. Everybody did great. And I can't wait to see you all at the Active Adult Center. I miss your faces. I'm smiling under my mask.
Mr. Jaber.
Thank you, Mr. President. Keep bringing up downtown. It's in my ward. Keep bringing up downtown. If you look at any postcard or anything, Barbara, first thing you see is Lake Anna. Right now, the big screen right there, you see is Lake Anna. We need to start using Lake Anna. It's a gold mine. It's a dime piece for the city. It will bring people to the city to walk around Lake Anna, to go downtown. If we start off once a month, I'm gonna keep pushing this, once a month, at least for the food trucks, bring them down. Example, they have 3 food trucks right now in front of Jim's Automotive on Worcester Road. Doing great. We bring people in from Doylestown, bring people from Wadsworth, just the food truck. People like the food trucks. And then they start going downtown. They go to the Ferris Corner Cafe. They go M&M. They go down to Block 7. We need to use downtown as our centerpiece. I mean, right now we're in recovery zone. I mean, COVID-19 has made all residents, all businesses hurting right now. So we're all going to go outside. Cedar Point's closed. all the big places are out close, so they want to go somewhere local and feel safe. If we're outside, walk around, social distancing is there. So I can't push it enough. We need to start using Lake Anna as our downtown.
Lake Ann is used a lot,
I know, but I mean,
very much.
Very
I mean, I
much.
live right there,
Yes,
it's used a lot.
we need to start using it more as business. This is, our city should be ran as a business. At the end of the day, business is what makes people happy, money, okay? I understand being friends, we're showing pictures of dogs, our family members, but at the end of the day, without money, the city's not ran right. I mean, we need to hire more city and street department guys, union guys, to take care of the grass, take care of the street, the potholes. We need the money coming into the city. We start charging many permits or fees for these food trucks or fees for these guys who want to put on sidewalks, tables. At the end of the day, we need money. This is nickel and dime. Again, it's not just the locals' fault. So go back to the federal grants, the state grants, and the money. But at the end of the day, the city needs to be ran as a business. Without money in this city, we're going to keep digging deeper and deeper in the hole that we already are in. Again, just want to clarify why I'm pushing this so much. Ward 4, the downtown is my district. So I've been walking downtown, talking to business owners. Everybody wants more people walking in. We need more foot traffic. So hopefully we get this done and we don't, this administration sees how we're hurting very much. So if we move faster and getting this done, this process going. Again, I pass that. Thank you.
Sure, duly noted. Anyone else? Nina?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make a correction. Health Market is owned by Denny Gray. I knew that, but I keep on saying Sheridan because Diane is her stepbrother and sister, but it's Denny Gray. I just want it on the record. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Carla.
Carla?
Microphone.
Sorry.
We just saw the whole time and I lost it now. Since Nika mentioned, Denny Gray right now, I actually had an email from Diane's mom asking if, and I don't know if someone there can answer, otherwise I'll investigate tomorrow, but since we're all here, if citizens are allowed to use cow manure in their gardens.
Mr. Hayek?
Thank you. I received that email as well. I was going to check into that tomorrow morning.
Okay. I didn't know if anybody knew off the top of their head, so.
I don't see why not.
I've used it for years. I don't know whether it's right or not, but.
I don't know if it smells, because
No, it doesn't. It doesn't smell at all.
Yeah.
well, whatever she put, it smells, but she put you, like that's the topic of the email, so.
I know you can't have the cow there.
If you buy it from Lowe's or something, it's already, whatever they want to call it, it doesn't smell.
Yeah, the compost.
It's sort of farm. Yeah, some of that mulch will smell awful. It'll really smell. That mulch will. So they may have been it.
I'll call her tomorrow and
Really.
put her real questions. I thought maybe someone could answer that for me, though, since we were all here.
Fresh smells worse than the mineral ever will.
Correct.
She's right.
Fresh mulch.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Mulch, oh, yeah. I went over on Clark Hill Road and got cow manure right from the cow, and it never smelled that much.
This is wild.
It's not mine.
Anyone else? Well, I got one more thing to say. About them 5:30 meetings, I was wishful thinking. You know, that's when we could bring it back to here. Because if we're all at the Active Adult Center, we'll already be there. So we don't need to start that early. But I was just wishful thinking. I just want to come bring it back to here, but that's down the road, probably not till September, if we're lucky.
Conversation, we said. That's good.
Anything else?
Well, is that the only one? Sorry.
Go ahead.
If I'm the only one that it affects, I don't want to stop everybody from meeting at 5:30. Can we play that by ear?
Well, we don't really need to if we're all gonna be meeting at the same time at the same place. We we wouldn't need to do that unless we were having committee meetings in two different rooms.
Okay.
So I was wishful thinking, that's down the road, so maybe in September, keep your fingers crossed.
One more,
Who,
Carol.
Carol, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Mr. President. With Carla's comment about the 5:30 and your comments about we're all going to be there, do you mean that we are going to carry out the committee meetings the way that we have been online, meaning one right after another, you don't have, time in between? Because that way, a lot of them don't even last 5 minutes.
Right,
So
right, well,
if we continued the way that we're going, I think it would work.
well,
She means the back to back to back.
we don't need to do all the committee meetings in one night if we're gonna meet 4 nights and 4 weeks in a row.
He's talking July.
Yeah, July.
All right. All right.
We'll go back to our regular schedule in July, 4 weeks, and half the committee meetings on 1 week and the other half the other week, and committee of the whole, then legislative. We're not gonna be doing double meetings again. We've had enough of that. We got 2 more to do, so, but like I said, that 5:30 won't be till we come back here and have it in 2 different rooms. Anything else? I call this meeting adjourned at 8:38.
Thank you. Have a good week.
Thank you, everybody did a great job.
Hi, thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Renee, it was much better.
Yeah, it was, that was good. It was.
660.04, the
Very
codified ordinance.
It helped a lot. No,
There's something in there, the
It was a
only
great idea,
keyword,
though. It helps.
smell,
And
the
that's-
only time it ever shows up in the ordinance is
Yeah.
that ordinance.
And,
Bye.
Yeah, in our, not development code, in our, ordinances.
I was wondering, Greg.
I was
I was wondering,